folks, and welcome back to the Gamer's Grotto. Today we're going to be playing part 2 of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. This is a collection that released in October for the PS5, PS4, Xbox Series 1, Xbox Series XS, PC, and Switch. So where we last left off yesterday, we were still in the middle of that documentary on the making of Mortal Kombat, and we had just started looking into the comic that came out when the game originally came out. You were able to get a comic made by John Tobias, one of the founders of Mortal Kombat, who did all the animation for the comic. But anyway, let's continue where we last left off yesterday and play some more of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection on the PS5. The 16-bit Wars. While Nintendo had dominated the 8-bit era with the NES, rival Sega had taken away significant market share from Nintendo during the 16-bit days, in part because it was more permissive in regards to the content of games that appeared on the platform. This would have a significant effect on the home versions of Mortal Kombat. Countdown Sweepstakes. As part of the big lead-up to Mortal Monday, Acclaim announced a Mortal Kombat Countdown Sweepstakes, which would award an arcade version of Mortal Kombat to one lucky winner, who answered 5 questions by the contest's deadline. Mortal Monday. New York-based Acclaim Entertainment confirmed its home versions of Mortal Kombat in June 1993 at the Summer Consumer Electronics Show, promising a September 13th release on both 16-bit consoles, as well as both major handheld systems, Nintendo's Game Boy and Sega's Game Gear. Acclaim branded the release event Mortal Monday. Free by mail. Mirroring independently published zines of the day, Acclaim's Sam Goldberg explained in a press release that the pit was uniquely designed and specifically written to appeal to our target audience. All fans had to do to get a copy by mail was write in and request it. The Pit. Acclaim produced a free newsletter called The Pit, which gave eager Mortal Kombat fans character bios, some photos from that year's CES, and at the end of the opening statement on the front page, a mysterious code, Abacab, with no further context. The Mortal Kombat television ad, created by ad agency RDA International, featured dozens of Mortal Kombat fans charging through New York City streets in a frenzy. The commercial's only dialogue, people shouting the game's name at the top of their lungs like a battle cry, became iconic. Prepare yourself. The cheering crowd in the background in this otherwise minimal advertisement calls back to the stampeding fans seen in Acclaim's television commercial. In the magazines, Acclaim launched a large print ad campaign in magazines and comic books in the months leading up to Mortal Kombat's home release. Some of those ads didn't have to say much at all to get their message across. Mortal Monday. The home versions of Mortal Kombat were imminent, and as fans prepared for the Mortal Monday release date, anticipation became Acclaim's greatest asset.
The first time I saw a crowd gathered around a Mortal Kombat cabinet when I was 10 told me that, okay, this game is a big deal at my arcade. I had no idea if that translated outside my arcade. Then Mortal Monday happened. Not just the day itself, but the build-up to it.
Seeing the zeitgeist around it was huge. Conversations around Mortal Monday were happening, the first kind of big marketing push.
Acclaim was clearly, they knew what they had in their hands, and so they were doing a much bigger effort in promoting it. I remember them telling us that they were going to spend $10 million to advertise this game. And I remember saying, are you sure you want to put that kind of money behind this? And in retrospect, of course, that was a right decision. But I remember being really paranoid thinking, that they were putting a lot on this game.
The preparation for the release of Mortal Kombat was just massive. I was working at Babbage's software. Pre-sales had started early, so we knew we were going to be just selling out. It was all I could talk about.
I remember going to see a movie, I can't remember which film it was, and they were advertising Mortal Mondays, which was one of the greatest marketing blitzes in video game history. And it was just, all these random kids yelling in the middle of a city street, Mortal Kombat, right?
Mortal Kombat! That commercial with people running down the street screaming Mortal Kombat, and they were teens, and I was a little kid, and teens are the coolest thing you could be when you're a little kid.
You don't have to show screenshots or anything else necessarily. Everybody knew. All you have to do is just have somebody out in the middle of the street just putting up his arm saying Mortal Kombat. It's almost like, hi, it's here. It sells itself.
Mortal Kombat! We were all like, yo, did you see that Mortal Kombat commercial? What is Mortal Kombat? And there was always one kid who knew a little more. It's a video game, but you kill people. And all of us at Maplewood Elementary School were like, whoa!
We had 2 front monitors that were just showcasing Mortal Kombat videos. And
in the comics, on the back of the comics, there were Mortal Monday ads. There were Mortal Kombat ads in magazines. There were Mortal Kombat ads in subways.
Just seeing the standees and the posters and things at Times Square and
the signage that was coming in, every piece of memorabilia that was coming in, and t-shirts, and it was just over the top compared to other games.
I remember just being nervous about it, thinking, I hope this game lives up to it. Even though it was a huge arcade game, you just never know in the fall.
It was insane. There was a giant line, and it was just so exciting.
That's when I realized, this is actually a bigger deal than maybe any video game that's come before it. Mortal Kombat became a pillar of popular culture within 12 months. It was, I think, the fastest a video game had ever exploded to date.
Nothing could prepare you for it. It was, it was just insane.
Mace Volento, the Brazilian ad for the Sega CD edition, replaced bigger and better with more bloody and more violent. bigger, better, louder, meaner. Acclaim advertised the Sega CD version of Mortal Kombat as bigger, better, louder, meaner. Note that the first version of the ad has Sega's MA13 rating from the Video Game Rating Council, while the second shows MA17. Mortal Kombat Go's CD. In May 1994, Sega players got an upgraded version of Mortal Kombat if they owned a CD-ROM drive. The Sega CD edition of Mortal Kombat used its storage capacity to restore many frames of animation and speech samples, and Dan Forden's arcade soundtrack. However, the sluggish load times, including whenever Shang Tsung transformed into another character, hurt the appeal of this version. And more flags. Flag 4 forced reptile clues to appear. Flag 5 gave the player infinite credits. Flag 6 forced the computer to always use fatalities. And Flag 7 made all fights take place on the Palace Gate stage. Flags. The dullard menu let players turn on 8 flags, which changed the game's behavior. Flag 0 killed the computer opponent in 1 hit. Flag 1 killed the player in 1 hit. Flag 2 forced objects to fly across the moon for finding Reptile. Flag 3 made Probe Software co-founder Fergus McGovern's head appear in the pit. The dullard code. The Genesis version included a full cheat menu, accessed by entering down, up, left, A, right, down, at the game's main menu. This was originally intended to be the only method of enabling blood, but Acclaim felt that spelling out the word dullard would be too tricky, and asked programmer Paul Carruthers to add a sequence using only face buttons, which led to the Abacab code. The blood code. While the Genesis version initially seemed to lack the blood and fatality moves from the arcade original, this was a ruse. If a player entered the code Abacab, inspired by a 1982 rock album from the group Genesis, on this screen, the original violent scenes would be enabled. Mortal Kombat Genesis. The Genesis version of Mortal Kombat supported Sega's recently released 6-button controller. Sega, which had its own internal rating system, gave the game an MA13 rating, likely because the most violent content was hidden behind a secret code. So this is the Sega version of Mortal Kombat that we can play. Now, I don't know if it bears going into this, because we already, in our last playthrough, we went into the arcade version of Mortal Kombat, and I gotta be honest, there's barely any difference between the two. I think maybe graphically the arcade version is just a little bit better than the Sega Genesis version, so I think we're gonna avoid going into this, at least for now. Once we're done the documentary, then I'll go through every single game individually and I'll play it for a little bit. But I think it doesn't make any sense to go through the home arcade versions when the arcade cabinet version is probably far superior. Mortal Kombat SNES. Nintendo's strict content guidelines meant that the SNES version of Mortal Kombat was heavily censored, with no blood code to restore the arcade content. Sweat flew from the fighters instead of blood, and fatalities, now called finishing moves, were altered to be far less gory. 16-bit development. Working for Probe Software, programmer Paul Carruthers converted Mortal Kombat to Sega's Genesis, while Sculptured Software's John Blackburn stepped in to get the Super NES version finished when the project hit some problems.
We were aware that Acclaim had a deal that they were going to do all the home games, because also they had done super high impact for the home. And Acclaim had their kind of production group, which was our main point of contact, but then they had the two software houses, Probe and Sculptured. And so there was a lot of communication that had to kind of bounce back and forth.
Probe offered me Mortal Kombat on the Mega Drive, the Genesis version, and I said yes. I'm free. I'm available. Like, a job's a job, and I said, well, what is it? They were able to kind of actually bring me an arcade machine into my house. And kind of started playing it, and I thought, well, this looks easy enough.
When Mortal Kombat 1 was going to be made for the Super Nintendo, through Sculptured Software, we had a programmer that was from outside our place, and brought him in and said, hey, you're the main guy. And that did not go as well as we would have wanted it to go.
Ed and I would get versions of the game, and so I would give feedback in terms of the pixel art as best I could. Of course, the home games at the time, they didn't have quite the capabilities that we did in the arcade.
I think the biggest problem that we had wasn't as much the power of the machine, but how big the memory of the Mega Drive was. We had to shrink all the sprites really down as much as we possibly could, and there's a lot of frames of animation in there. We started off by kind of basically taking out every other frame, and that wasn't enough. So then we had to take out like 3 out of 5 frames, and then kind of concentrate on the important animations, the ones that let you see most. Williams have a method of writing. It's almost like a kind of multi-threading. It's like that there's a number of different programs all operating at the same time. So one of those programs operates one of the characters, one program operates one of the weapons, one of them operates the background, and all of those different little programs kind of speak to each other. That isn't a method of programming I had any experience of. It took me a while to work it out. Kind of Probe were getting very nervous because there wasn't anything on the screen. I was working, there wasn't anything on the screen. And then eventually I was able to basically kind of translate the original code almost line by line. It kind of worked, and the whole thing kind of came to life.
Fight.
What it meant as well, though, was that it was very accurate, very close to the original arcade version in terms of how it feels playing it. So everyone was then very happy with me, which was great.
Genesis played much better, and it had the blood, the abacab, and all that.
Get over here!
The Super Nintendo version looked great, but it didn't play as good as the Genesis version.
The programmer that was the lead, but he made some missteps at the beginning of the project, and it was really hard to finish. These were conversions. These were not original games. You're trying to take the code and the assets and port it to that platform. They had this little multi-processing system in there. He said, I don't like the way that works. I want to do it my way. So he's going against the grain the whole time.
Johnny Cage wins.
The quality of the game was something that that was important to us. I know Ed was a stickler in terms of what he was willing to approve.
Come here!
And, we were down to the wire. We were, saying that, we're not going to prove it until you fix this, this, and that. And
I ended up having to help him. So it got done, but it played not quite as well.
They needed to build millions of cartridges, and there's lead times involved with that. And so those two things kind of conflicted a couple times, and there was some tension there.
Mortal Kombat Game Gear. The downscaled Game Gear version omitted Kano from the playable character roster, but a secret code did allow players to see vibrant red blood on the 160 by 144 pixel color screen. The Little Blood Code. The Game Gear version of Mortal Kombat was granted the ability to display blood if players entered its special code 212 down up at its Code of Honor screen before play began. Mortal Kombat Game Boy. Many concessions were made to squeeze Mortal Kombat onto a Game Boy cartridge. The moves needed to be reconfigured to work on a system with only 2 action buttons, including pressing both A and B together to block. Play as Goro. Only the Game Boy version offers Goro as a playable secret character. Complete the game with any character. When the end screen appears, hold up, left, select, and the A button until the title screen appears. Press Start to play as Goro. But why though? In the arcade, Mortal Kombat's Thunder God Raiden was spelled with an I. In the home translations, it became Raiden with a Y. The original spelling was associated with a vertically scrolling shooting game owned by other parties, so Acclaim changed the spelling to keep things legally safe. Awesome fighting action. Acclaim followed its Mortal Monday campaign with ads touting accolades.
For Picard?
That's so random. We're not even playing. Hi, James, by the way. Yes, Picard. That's so random. Why are you bringing that up? With ads touting accolades from the press, including GB Action's strong proclamation that the Game Boy version would whip Street Fighter II into the pit, where has-beens fester. Yeah, for the Game Boy? No, you are wrong there. The Game Boy version was terrible. Mortal Kombat in Brazil. While North American gamers got a Game Gear version, players in Brazil also had the option of a Sega Master System version, as this Portuguese advertisement notes.
I did it on purpose. I wanted to come in with something random, lol.
You wanted to come in with something random? You sound like George Costanza. Well, I wanted to come in with something random. I came in, I said random stuff, and then I left. Let me tell you, Jerry, that's how you do it. Alright, anyway. Blow by blow. This German ad, whose headline reads English. This German ad, whose headline reads Blow by Blow, cites several positive reviews for the Mega Drive version, ending with, in short, it's the kick you need now. It would help if I looked at the ad, yes. I gotta be honest, I feel like all the ports that came out for all the different versions of consoles were terrible. I feel like the best version of Mortal Kombat for the classic Mortal Kombats was definitely on the arcade cabinets, and then they were downgraded considerably for the home consoles. I mean, obviously the newer versions of Mortal Kombat, like 11 to 10, 9, and then the new Mortal Kombat 1, they're made for consoles because arcade cabinets don't really exist anymore, and the ones that do exist are, classic arcade cabinets. But I mean, back then, I feel like they didn't have to port them to the consoles because doing so just made them really shitty. Mortal Kombat in Germany. Mortal Kombat was marketed worldwide with these German ads telling fans "Bereit dich vor," prepare yourself and to be ready to schlag dich durch. I'm not good with German, I'm going to warn you right now. Fight your way through when the game arrived on home systems. Choose your fighter. With the 16-bit console wars in full effect, most gamers owned either a Super Nintendo or a Sega Genesis, but not both. Some Mortal Kombat fans took sides, while others were simply happy to be able to play their favorite game at home in any form, no matter how many compromises were involved.
Mustard and myself grew up in a really small town. The closest thing you would have to an arcade machine is the local bowling alley may have had like a light gun game, but that's pretty much it. It was only the home versions that allowed us to experience the different franchises, and I feel like I unofficially speak for quite a lot of people our age, how important getting those home versions as good as they were was. So that the rest of us could still experience it in different parts of the world, the arcades weren't as common, especially those small towns.
Which side was I on in the home versions? There's only one side. Like, what do it's just the Genesis version. There's only one version of the game. The Super Nintendo version is a travesty by comparison.
I actually thought that even though the Genesis was a little behind graphically than the Super Nintendo, I liked the grittier look of the Genesis version. It really felt kind of down and dirty the way Mortal Kombat should.
I mean, also the Genesis version had the blood code. And the real fatalities and the Dullard code and all the other cool stuff in it. I think that made up for like the music in the Genesis version being really hokey and some of that other stuff.
My friend had a Genesis. They got Mortal Kombat. His mom would come in every now and then just to look at the screen to make sure there was no blood flying.
Finish him.
And so what we would do is we would enter the blood code, we'd play a match or two, and then we'd hit reset, turn off the blood code, keep playing when she came in, and then she'd leave and we'd turn the blood code back on.
Nintendo screwed the pooch when they didn't allow the blood in the game, and they instead put sweat in it, which the Genesis version outsold the SNES version like 3-1 or something like that. Everybody wanted the violence, they wanted the blood.
The Super Nintendo version feels like mud. Like the act of playing that game is so unlike playing the actual arcade game.
So I really wanted Mortal Kombat. Not just to fit in, but because I loved it. I wanted it so bad, but my family didn't have a ton of money. So I scraped together all the money I had, and I was able to finally afford Mortal Kombat for the Game Boy. And that game is a experience. when you play Mortal Kombat in the arcade, it's a little bit heavy and you feel the power of those hits. Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy moved like two frozen people were slowly trying to get close enough to hug. Like, when you'd push the punch button, it would eventually move the fist forward a little bit at maybe 1 frame per minute. I cannot do a fatality in this game. I know for a fact they exist because the computer can do the fatalities on that pit level. Instead of having them fall off the stage onto spikes, at the end of each part of the level were just little drawn spikes in the background that you could knock them onto. And I think that that was their, like, makeshift solution for having a stage-based fatality. Even as a kid, I knew it was not the best version, but I loved it so much. I even put in a Game Genie code that let you play as Goro. Like, I did every secret possible. I was gonna squeeze every single dollar I put into that game. And I still own it, and I'll still play it occasionally because I'm kind of a masochist, but there's something special about it. There's something that's kind of, like, pure about a Mortal Kombat game that's so weird and watered down and slow that it almost circles back around to being kind of creepy and mysterious.
I mean, they may not have been, like, arcade perfect, but to us, we didn't know any better. We didn't have anything to comparison. All we cared about was just, you know, play the game, have fun with it, you know, and enjoy what we were doing, and that was about it.
I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know. I have played the Mortal Kombat game for Game Boy back in the day, and no, I can't. It was really bad. Combat on the Dance Floor, the song Techno Syndrome, Mortal Kombat by the Immortals, a side project of Olivier Adams and Praga Khan from Belgium's Lords of Acid, combined samples from the game and acclaims TV advertisement with irresistible high-energy dance beats. The 1993 single proved popular enough to spawn a full album the following year. Mortal merchandise. Some Mortal Kombat merchandise took inspiration from the past. Tiger Electronics offered a tabletop battle between Raiden and Goro in an update of Rock'em Sock'em Robots, a hit from the 1960s. While the ad copy notes that Raiden's lightning-sick moves may electrify you, the toy was in fact entirely safe. I mean, what? Of course. Are they idiots? Like, the ultimate fighting machine, with every combatant seeking an edge in battle. A company called Triax promised its Turbo Touch 360 controller would make executing special moves faster and easier, thanks to its unique directional touch sensor. Mr. Scorpion Goes to Washington. As more parents expressed concern over the graphic nature of the games being played in their living rooms, American politicians mobilized to bring awareness to the issue and to hold the game industry accountable. In the middle of the holiday shopping season, the United States Senate held a hearing on violent video games. Lieberman and Cole. On December 9, 1993, U.S. Senators Joseph Lieberman and Herbert Cole held a joint hearing of the United States Senate Committees on Governmental Affairs and the Judiciary, during which educators and representatives from the video game industry discussed Mortal Kombat as well as Digital Pictures' full-motion video game, Night Trap, and Konami's target shooter, Lethal Enforcers. Describing Mortal Kombat. Blood splatters from the contestants' heads when a player wins. The so-called death sentence sequence begins. The game narrator instructs the player to finish, and I quote, finish his opponent. Joseph Lieberman, former U.S. Senator.
Blood splatters from the contestants' heads. When a player wins, the so-called death sequence begins. The game narrator instructs the player to finish, and I quote, finish his opponent.
Inaccurate evidence. 60 seconds of Mortal Kombat arcade gameplay was shown on videotape, but identified as Sega Genesis. Full arcade blood was visible, and 2 fatalities were shown. By contrast, the Super NES footage that followed featured no fatalities and only lasted 10 seconds. Expert witnesses. Experts who offered testimony to the committees included Bill White from Sega and Howard Lincoln from Nintendo. The hearings ended with a vow from the game industry to create a rating system that would be implemented by the end of 1994. The Video Games Rating Act of 1994. In February, Senator Lieberman introduced Bill S.1823, called the Video Games Rating Act of 1994, to provide for the establishment of the Interactive Entertainment Rating Commission, and for other purposes. The message was clear. If the industry could not or would not regulate itself as other industries already had, the government was prepared to step in. The game industry rallies. A second hearing was held on March 4th, 1994, to give the game industry a second chance to show their progress since December. Senators Lieberman and Cole seemed pleased when representatives from Nintendo, Sega, and Electronic Arts laid out an ambitious plan to have a rating system implemented by year's end. Enter the ESRB. The Interactive Digital Software Association was formed in April 1994, establishing the Entertainment Software Ratings Board. 2 months later, the ESRB's 5 ratings categories early childhood, kids, to adults, teen, mature, and adults only were accepted as an industry standard in June 1994. With minor revisions, the system is still in use today. The impact. Thanks to its high-profile success, Mortal Kombat accidentally became emblematic of violent video games. However, the controversy would lead to positive and lasting change. Here, both developers and players discuss this critical moment in gaming history.
Video games were becoming more and more sophisticated, maturing.
It was around that time that we were realizing that video games aren't just for kids. The manufacturers of the home consoles still kind of thought of them that way. It's like, hey, this is a toy for kids.
We never made Mortal Kombat for 6-year-olds or anything like that. That was never the intention. 4 guys in their 20s, what kind of video game are they going to make?
In our minds, we were creating the game for a certain demographic of player.
Fans of Terminator, Bloodsport, Alien, Predator, all these movies. It was a game by guys in their 20s, 4 guys in their 20s. Nobody mentioned anything during the arcade days.
Once the game came home on the consoles, it came into people's living rooms, that was a shocker to the moms and dads of suburbia.
Blood splatters from the contestants' heads. When a player wins, the so-called death sequence begins. The game narrator instructs the player to finish, and I quote, finish his opponent.
My parents were very worried about the violence in Mortal Kombat because eventually they saw the news stories. They saw the news stories that were like, you could rip out someone's spine or you could light them on fire. Like, I had a friend who was not allowed to go to another friend's house because he had played Mortal Kombat with him.
And we also really didn't see a lot of animated blood in video games back then. It seems so commonplace today.
What is the difference in between this and violent movies? Why is it different?
No one's looking at movies in the same way as they're looking at video games.
Rock music before it, and comics and heavy metal.
You know, I grew up at a time, Elvis Presley's body was blacked out from the waist down because he was gyrating, and God only knows what that's going to do to today's youth.
I do think that there was a number of kind of politicians and other people who were looking for a scapegoat. Kind of this was it. It came along at the right time.
Kato wins. Flawless victory.
It was just like, video games are bad, and these are the ones doing it. I think the thing that made me most angry about it was it just felt like no one involved in any of this had ever actually played a video game or seen this stuff outside of very carefully selected footage.
It was like fairly kind of innocuous, and it was like kind of cartoon violence.
And yeah, it seems violent, but ultimately it's really just funny.
Yeah, it's like Evil Dead, isn't it?
The very idea that like Mortal Kombat was somehow going to destroy society or the fabric of our youth or anything was always ridiculous.
These home games had no system of ratings, right? Like a CD would say explicit lyrics or something. A movie would say rated R for violence or, whatever. And I think to me that was the fundamental issue. Somebody noticed and somebody objected to it, and we certainly didn't disagree with it.
And so I think that the reaction from Congress and everything at the time almost to me felt appropriate.
Yeah, I'd say having the conversation about violence in video games and ratings in video games ultimately is something that was going to happen sooner or later. Is the industry going to be able to self-regulate, or is the government going to have to come in and do a bunch of really dumb things?
I think that the rating system helps people make more informed decisions about what they're buying, and that included Mortal Kombat. If you're a parent who bought their kids games, they probably shouldn't have been playing Mortal Kombat unless you could supervise them. It was the next step in the maturity of the industry, and the rating system was kind of emblematic of that. It was a way to say, hey, here's this type of game, here's the type of content, make your own choice.
The rating system and stuff that came from it felt like the right choice, to make.
I think that if video games were like a squalling infant that was just learning how to crawl, Mortal Kombat got them toddling on their feet.
Ready for round 2. Success often means a sequel, and Mortal Kombat was no exception. Entering a new development cycle, the team at Midway focused on new characters, improved technology, and even more extreme finishing moves for a sequel worthy of the phenomenon. How am I? I'm doing good, man. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Alright, test your might. With the first game still earning tons of quarters in the arcade, and the home game selling in record numbers, the Mortal Kombat team quickly began work on a super-powered sequel. Developing Mortal Kombat 2. Better tools, more resources, and a new artist opened a lot of creative and technical doors for the team when building the sequel, and all of those elements helped expand the Mortal Kombat mythology.
Our experience with the first Mortal Kombat was, it turned out great, but the game was very rushed. It was an 8-month project from concept to shipped game, which was crazy when you think about that. Certainly in my head, there was 10 things that I would have done differently.
Shortly after Mortal Kombat 1, Ed and I started to think about what do we want to do next. And one idea we had was we wanted to do a Star Wars game. Ken Fedesna came down, and I remember us talking excitedly about Star Wars. And Ken's response was, Star Wars, what are you guys talking about with this Star Wars, business? You guys have got to do a sequel to this game. And so that was the first time that I thought, oh, okay, I guess, we're signed up for a sequel.
So new hardware came, new tools came. Warren Davis and all these guys, Todd Allen, everybody was like working on tools to make things better, and we just inherited that.
Oh my God!
One of the things that is better about Mortal Kombat 2 from Mortal Kombat 1 is the graphics. Originally, everything was done off of VHS tapes, and it was kind of blurry and stuff.
We eventually started capturing images directly onto the hard drive as opposed to putting it on videotape and then going to the hard drive.
Okay, ready? Ready? Is it live or is it ready to go? That was good.
That allowed us to knock out that losty videotape format that would bleed onto everything.
It just became a more efficient process, a cleaner image for sure.
Outstanding.
We added much better kind of combo system that was going.
Jax wins.
You could turn around and kick. Which to this day I can't believe the first Mortal Kombat doesn't have. A lot bigger of a roster. We wanted to expand, so we had 12 characters and added Jax. That was huge. Katana Molina, who are synonymous with Mortal Kombat at this point.
One of the reasons I know that we swapped Sonya for Katana Molina was because of their masks. We were able to get 2 for 1. So the same palette swapping technique we used for Scorpion and Sub-Zero, we thought, okay, let's take advantage of this with the female characters.
Katana wins. Fatality.
Tony Goski, graphic genius.
Hey, it's Ed Boom. Ed, John Tobias, and Mark Jamal walk in my office. Ed says, hey, Tony, we're thinking if do you want to work on Mortal Kombat? I was an instant yes.
Tony Goski was working on a game called NBA Jam, and he was doing a great job, but he, in his heart, he was a traditional painter, and so when Mortal Kombat 2 came along, he was a perfect fit.
It was suited my style and things I enjoyed. Fantasy art, starting to get into surrealism with, like say, Dali and Magritte, and it kind of just went that direction,
Tony Goski defined the majority of the look and feel of Mortal Kombat 2, specifically the backgrounds.
Tony's influence came into what does Outworld look like? What does, this really mysterious Mortal Kombat, this fantasy Mortal Kombat, what does that look like?
Introducing the Outworld was huge because it completely carved a new look for Mortal Kombat. Kind of use like Chinese.
I'm actually with my bowling league, so that's why I haven't talked much.
No worries, man. You're good. I appreciate you being here regardless.
Pit 1, so we made the Pit 2. Person dun 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 gets hit, and it would do what we would call a camera cut now, but it would just do a top view of a person doing like this, and the background would scale up and
Reptile wins.
He came up with this living forest, and he put my face on the trees.
Oh man.
Albert Brooks all over it. All had to be drawn.
No digitizing for Tony.
What? I did digitize the tree. That's face. We would digitize that, and then I would draw on top of it the bark and everything to make it look like a tree. Obviously, all like horror movies and things that are like shocking. You go all the way to the left, and there's a tree kind of looking straight down the fight line, and that's based off Ash from The Evil Dead. That was like one of my favorite backgrounds to work on.
When I was a teenager, I did some stop-action animation just for fun with a Super 8 camera, with clay and toys and stuff like that. When doing Kintaro, there weren't a lot of frames to begin with. It's like, and you would hang on that last, hit or whatever. I would sort of try to mimic what John was doing with main characters as I was doing Kintaro.
For me, what was most exciting was there was this fiction that we would tell a little bit of story just through a couple sentences in the attract mode. And so once the talk of a sequel came about, I knew that, okay, this is our opportunity to tell all this story that we alluded to in the first game. Now we can sort of move things forward.
And so I mean, it was just, we're so young. It was just like, cool, we're gonna do a number 2. Okay. And that's about my thought process, you know, cool, I still have a job.
Back to the drawing board. John Tobias' sketches from 1993 reveal designs for new characters Katana and Kung Lao. More colorful looks for Champion Liu Kang and Elder God Raiden, and an unused version of Tiger's striped Kintaro. Jax in yellow. Jax's original outfit was clearly inspired by one worn by real-life martial artist Bruce Lee. Into the Outworld. After Shang Tsung's failure to secure Earthrealm, Shao Kahn lures the combatants to his home turf of Outworld for a rematch. Moving the conflict to an alternate dimension gave the team a new visual playground filled with gothic and supernatural elements. Shang Tsung's new plan is to lure his enemies to compete in the Outworld, where they will meet certain death by Shao Kahn himself. A Painter's Touch. A classmate of John Tobias and John Vogel, Tony Goski had a background in the fine arts. His surrealistic influences gave Mortal Kombat 2's backgrounds and environments a decidedly sinister edge. Equally adept at painting oil on canvas as putting pixels on screens, his influences are evident in these concept sketches for the Living Forest and the Wastelands. The Voice. Who would give voice to Mortal Kombat 2's new villain? The Outworld Emperor Shao Kahn. For the team at Midway, there is only one choice: Steve Ritchie, a pinball designer with pipes of gold.
You know, initially we had Ed being the announcer for the first Mortal Kombat as Shang Tsung.
Kano. Scorpion. Fight. Excellent.
And then we wanted to go a different direction for the second one, and so they created this character Shao Kahn.
Round 1, fight.
And I'm sure everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that's gonna be Steve." You know?
It's high impact football. Fire, power, 1, 2, enemy destroyed. I am the Black Knight. Voice work in games, I loved it. I loved doing it. If they wanted me, I was there.
If you want a dude with a heavy, deep voice, then you could pitch it down some more and make it sound super basso profundo. That's the guy.
They wanted me to be a 200-year-old Asian man, you know, martial artist. Dan had a structure and a language and a way for me to speak.
Here's the list, do these things, and then a little bit of coaching.
Sonia, Baraka. Round 1, fight.
And he, you know, did a great job, and that's it. That's what you hear in the game.
Finish him. Baraka wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
That voice is, it's my favorite voice. It's fatality. I want to be that guy.
I'm not sure if he's the voice in the modern Mortal Kombat games as well, but it sounds very similar. So they might have just used the original audio recording and just enhanced it with new tech, which is likely the case. Toasty! Most video games aren't lucky enough to have their own catchphrase, but most video games aren't Mortal Kombat 2. Here, sound designer Dan Forden explains the origins of Toasty.
So Ed and I, we worked on these games, and we really liked playing super high impact. There was a machine in the hallway in the back, and we'd go there, have a game or two. In that game, you pick your play, and then the lines come together before you hike the ball. And so as they're doing that, I'm saying, I predict that you're toast. And that evolved into, I predict toasty, and Ed would crack up. George Petro said, you guys should put some of that silly stuff you do in the game. And we're like, yeah, whatever, and go on our day. And then, like, I don't know, a couple weeks later, Ed talks to me. He's like, hey, would you be cool if we, like, took your face and, like, when every 100th uppercut, your face comes out and says toasty in the corner of the screen? And I'm like, sure. Let's do that. So that's how that happened. Silliness, right? It's good to have a little bit of silliness.
Performance capture. Ed Boon and John Tobias direct Carlos Piscina, Raiden, Ho Sung Pak, Liu Kang, and Anthony Marquez, Kung Lao, while they perform stunts that will be digitized into player moves for the final game.
What you should do, Carlos, is just try to jump off. Try to actually jump straight up and land on your back. I can do that, but I need to make the other way. Is it Elvis? Is it? Okay, ready? Ready? Is it live or is it rated? Go. That was good.
That was much better.
There's a story. There was born.
Hey, Tony, what did you do in Turtles 3? You just played
Hey, you know I saw the trailer for that yesterday?
Yeah, you're the one that told me about that. They interviewed him on and stuff like that.
Yeah. Right, but it's like 2 frames that
Right.
that we use.
See, like that's not bad. Okay, you know what? That's enough.
Oh my God, that was the best one.
So I just wanted to correct something. I said yesterday that Ho Sung Pak was Leonardo in the Ninja Turtles movies, the Jim Henson Ninja Turtles movies back in the day. He was actually Raphael. One sec here. Yeah, the stunt double for Raphael in Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, Ho Sung Pak also portrayed Liu Kang in the original Mortal Kombat video game. So he was Liu Kang in both Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, the video games, which is really interesting. But he was the stunt coordinator for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. Jax's yellow outfit. In this silent video, John Parrish performs a pivotal punch in Jax's original yellow outfit, which closely resembles John Tobias's concept art. Melina's Psy Attack. Performer Catelyn Zamiar gets direction from Ed Boon on how to wield Melina's Psy. after which John Tobias adjusts the angle of Kitana's fan. Richard Divizio records Baraka's walk and thrusting blade attacks with guidance from Ed Boon. There is no audio for this video. I love how those blades are nothing but they're not even they're just oh my god. What are they? They're it looks like they're just almost like wrapping paper. That's what they are. They're wrapping paper. They're shiny wrapping paper that's folded to look like blades. Those aren't even blades. That's so funny. They must yeah, that's I'm pretty sure that's all they are. Again, it doesn't again it wouldn't even matter back then because yes, they were taking video footage of the characters, but the resolution that was coming out for the arcades back then was pretty low detail. So those blades probably never even showed up very well back then anyway. So, I mean, everything was kind of chintzy done. I mean, you can tell, like, Baraka's mask is just, what, that's from Walmart or something? It's like a Halloween mask. Liu Kang takes a seat. Now the secret can be revealed. To perform Liu Kang's signature bicycle kick, martial artist Ho Sung Pak needed to balance while leaning back on a chair. The silent clip includes Ed Boon demonstrating a dramatic throw. Kung Lao defeated. This silent excerpt from Anthony Marquez's performance capture session includes Kung Lao's kicks, ducks, and John Tobias' demonstration of exactly how Kung Lao's corpse should collapse. Another monstrous foe. Who could be bigger and badder than Goro? John Tobias designed Kintaro, a new four-arm menace built and animated by John Vogel. These detailed photos of the Kintaro model were taken by Vogel in 2013. The sound of perfection. Mortal Kombat 2 was the first video game to use Midway's digital compression system for audio. Moving away from FM synthesis, soundtracks were instead created by carefully arranging samples across 4 channels of audio. DCS remained the standard on Midway arcade games, as well as Williams and Bally pinball machines through the early 2000s. Selling the sequel. Midway usually created a promotional video for each of its arcade games, for sales and marketing use at trade shows. The Mortal Kombat 2 promo reel takes a victory lap for the first game, with a very animated narrator exclaiming, "We've created a monster," before teasing the new game's features.
Once in a lifetime, a game comes along that transcends our industry. The theme connects with something deep inside us and embeds itself firmly in the popular culture. Once in a lifetime, a game takes on a life of its own. To millions worldwide, it becomes more than just a video game. It becomes an obsession, a controversy. And they just can't wait to take it home. We've created a monster! Actually, we've created several. What if we could outdo our previous successes? What if we could create a new fighting machine? One that eclipsed every fighting game ever made. One with more depth and more characters. What if, amidst all the furor and recognition, we could release to the world the ultimate fighting experience? We can, and we will, right now. Here it is, Mortal Kombat 2. More characters, 3 times more images, more secret moves, more battlegrounds, more hidden surprises. And it's the first video game to feature our crystal clear DCS sound. These are the 12 combatants. Each possesses an array of special strengths. Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Johnny Cage, Reptile, Sub-Zero, Shang Tsung, Kitana, Jax, Mileena, Baraka, Scorpion, and Raiden. Get to know these characters, because when it comes to fighting for profits, they're all in your corner. Mortal Kombat 1 has started an unstoppable global fire, and notoriety has fanned the flames. The world's players have embraced these characters, and they're begging us for more. Never before has a game been so perfectly poised for such massive success. What was a roaring blaze will now become a raging inferno of profit. Get ready to feel the heat of Mortal Kombat 2. The world's ultimate fighting machine.
Come back for seconds. The promotional flyer for Mortal Kombat 2 showcases one of the franchise's key differentiators: colorful, original characters, including new faces like Kung Lao, Kitana, and Baraka, as well as a freshly rejuvenated Shang Tsung. Mortal Kombat 2 Arcade. After several location tests at Chicago arcades, Mortal Kombat 2 started rolling out nationally in the last few months of 1993, with chipset 2.1 being deemed ready for launch. A 3.1 revision would later add the Deadpool fighting stage, address some exploits, and squash a few bugs. We're going to play that in just a second. Let's just check out some other stuff here. A look under the hood. Fans rarely saw the hardware that was running Mortal Kombat 2 inside the arcade machines. A printed circuit board was screwed into place inside the cabinet, with cables connecting it to the control panel, power, and more. When a new code update was available, arcade owners could simply swap out the individual chips on the board. Mortal Kombat 2 Cabinet. Midway's official promotional image of the Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet features a dark and stormy livery, with Raiden's portrait on the side. Arcade press release. Midway's press release for Mortal Kombat 2 promised death-defying secret moves for each of the 12 main characters, as well as hidden warriors to mesmerize the most ardent players. There's a quick look at the cabinet as it appeared in arcades, and now let's head into it. "500 years ago, Shang Tsung was banished to the Earth Realm with the aid of..." Okay. I guess these are going by pretty fast. "By seizing control of the Shaolin tournament, he tried to tip the scales of order towards..." I'm not even going to bother reading. I was going to read that out loud, but yeah, it's kind of fast. Alright, so let's just hop into this. As I said, we're not going to go too much into detail with this. We'll actually play them properly once we're done with the documentary. But because this is in the documentary, let's just play a couple of rounds as a couple of characters. Now again, I am not very good at the classic Mortal Kombat games. I never was a big player of them growing up. I played them once or twice at an arcade, but it was never my kind of game. I wasn't really into fighters as much as a kid. More so in later years did I get into fighters. And yeah, so...
The secret to Maki is mastering the roundhouse kick, back plus high kick, while moving backwards.
For me, see, you're probably a pro at these games. For me, Christian, the secret is not dying. That's my secret, is to try and outlive the other opponent. And you know, I'll try to do a fatality if I can beat this motherfucker. But the likelihood is yes. No, see, I don't. Let's try that again though. I'll try to. Oh, that was my fatality? He threw me into the acid. Gotcha. Let's try as Johnny Cage. And again, like I said, I mean, I wasn't really into the Mortal Kombat fighters back then. I played them once or twice. I knew they existed. I'm a fan of the newer Mortal Kombat games, obviously. I will be streaming them on this channel at some point. I have all of them. And I don't know. The newer games just feel so much more fleshed out, I guess. And the fighting moves are a lot more refined. But then again, I mean, they had to work with what they had back then, so it makes sense that they're not perfect. It's giving me all the moves on the side, and I'm like literally just ignoring all the moves. I'm just like, whatever. I'll just do the uppercuts and die. Was that a fatality? Oh yeah, it was. I didn't even know there was a spike strip up there. God damn it! We're not doing well, are we? Let's try Sub-Zero. Maybe one of these guys I'll get up to the point where I can give them a fate. Wait, what is low punch here? It's square, I think. Is that square? Is that a low punch? No, that's a high punch. What's my low punch? X? Oh, it's X. Okay. I'm not prepared for this at all, as you can tell. I don't see. So in this collection, the one that I've been playing the most has been Sub-Zero, Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero. I haven't really been playing these ones so much because growing up, Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero was the game that I remember playing the most back in the day.
I grew with the originals, and I love that you can do a lot of the basic moves in the new MKs.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
All the new combos complicate things.
That's true, and I do like the new side characters they added in. Like, dude, T-1000 and MK1 was freaking amazing, man. His fatality, where he like just rams into the other player with a truck, with the transport truck, and then just like, it was so freaking badass. It's just like, damn, dude, we need a Terminator game where we play as T-1000. Why aren't game companies making that? Like, that was something I wanted ever since I saw the Terminator 2 movie, was the ability to play as the T-1000. I think that would have been so fucking cool. And now with the inclusion of the upcoming Terminator 2D game coming out at the end of the month, we'll be able to do that finally, albeit in like old SNES style graphics. Wow, that didn't even give me enough time to look at the moves. Hang on, let me take a look at something here. Let me see if I can. There is no way unlimited fatality time was turned on. I'm sorry, that didn't even give me time to do anything. Play video tennis? In a two-player game, play a 1970s style game of video tennis following your next match. What? Why? I guess that was for the arcades. To get the players prepared? I don't know. That's weird. Oh my god. Thanks, Reptile. That was fantastic. I'm very happy to fight you. Yeah. You're gonna be using those cheat-ass moves on me so that I can't see a damn thing? They don't really even... what... Okay, hold on. What difficulty are we playing on? Out of curiosity. I guess I can't look at that on this screen. I feel like I'm playing this on easy. And, if this is easy, this is not easy. Hold on. Hang on. Let me look at something here. Let's go back to the main menu. Yeah. This will take me back out here.
Roundhouse, back plus high kick. The CPU
Extra...
have trouble countering it.
I'm on extra easy? So I'm on, like, idiot that's never played a fighting game mode, and I'm still getting my ass handed to me. Damn, dude. That's when you know it, you suck at old fighters. That you're like literally getting your ass handed to you by playing on the easiest mode. That's crazy to me. That's easy. That doesn't feel like easy at all. Let's try Scorpion. Maybe I'll have luck with him. Jesus. I don't remember. Was the arcade version just a lot harder than the handheld than the console versions? Because this feels really challenging compared to. I guess they would have been harder even on the easiest difficulty when you think about it, because the whole point of the Mortal Kombat arcade cabinets was to suck quarters from players. Yeah, I feel like the console versions are probably a lot easier to play. And I think that's what it was. I think I played the console versions later on. Like I played the Sega Genesis version, the Super NES versions, and everything like that.
MK2 does have difficult learning curve.
Yeah, no, it does. But I mean, like, this is the arcade simulated version. So this is the version we would get on the arcade. Am I playing right now, or is this a demo? No, I am playing. Shit, it made me choose Liu Kang. All right. So I just feel like the AI of the computer on this version is a lot more advanced, only because the whole point of an arcade cabinet is to have the player spend as much money as possible. If they're just constantly just winning, the cabinet is not doing its job, because then the whole point of the cabinet is to get more money from players. It's like, oh, I just lost. I better put in another quarter, try again. And so that's what I think they're doing here. I think that the AI of the enemies is a lot more advanced than what I was used to when playing this on the consoles. Because so the only Mortal Kombat I played on arcade on the actual cabinets was Mortal Kombat 1. I never played Mortal Kombat 2 on in an arcade. I only ever played it on I'm pretty sure it was Sega Genesis or Super NES. It's one of the two. It was the one that had blood, so I'm pretty sure it was Sega Genesis. Oh.
MK3 famously has the 3-on-1 handicap matches on the hard towers. I still thought MK3 is easier to beat than MK2, until I figured out the AI.
I gotcha. Yeah, MK3 seems a lot easier, honestly. So MK3 is included in this collection, obviously. This is all the classic Mortal Kombat games, so MK3 is of course included, as well as the Game Boy versions of MK1 and 2, which we don't talk about because they were absolutely atrocious and should not be played by anybody who values their sanity. I'll be fair. Oh my god, I'm actually kicking his ass. No, I'm not. Never mind. Oh. Yeah, there's no way that is unlimited timer for a fatality. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit what you say. That's a bug, man. There's no way. That I didn't even get a chance to barely read the fatality moves. Damn, Johnny Cage, you're just gonna spam the same move over and over? That ain't cool. Hack actor. Wanna be Bruce Lee. Where does his glasses go? He just pulls him out of his ass when he, Yeah, he does. Okay. I don't know. That's not usually where I keep my sunglasses, but fair enough. All right, I think that's going to do it for that game, at least until we actually go to the game portion of it, because I can see right now that I am not very good at it. Yeah, so when we actually go in, after we're done with the documentary and we actually go into the games and try each of them, I'll go into fatality training and we'll show off all the fatalities for all of the characters in all of the Mortal Kombat games. I mean, a lot of them are the same, I noticed. They're not too different, but some of them are different. Mortal Kombat 2 the comic. As with the first game, John Tobias expanded Mortal Kombat 2's story in a comic book. Once again, advertised in the arcade game's Attract mode, and only available through mail order. Originally sold for $5, copies of the book now fetch hundreds of dollars on the collector's market. And here it is in its digital format, which you can read if you end up getting this collection. It's there in digital format, which is kind of cool. I gotta admit, I like when they do that kind of stuff in games. Give you the digital comics. That's actually a pretty long comic, now that I look at it. It's a lot longer than the first game's comic, that's for sure. Feels like they probably fleshed out more of the story in this one. $12 for a shirt? Damn! You can tell that was the 90s. Like, nowadays it's like, what, $40 for a shirt or something? It's not $12, that's for sure. The Sounds of Combat. Along with the comic book, fans could order a compact disc featuring Dan Forden's musical soundtracks to both arcade games. All it took was a check for $12.45 and a few weeks of patience.
The original Johnny Cage was going to be Jean-Claude Van Damme, famous for Bloodsport and Kickboxer.
Yeah, they mentioned that in the first part of the documentary we did yesterday. And ironically, he was Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 1. So, there you go. It went full circle, didn't it? Which is kind of cool. Kinder? Wow, I really screwed that line up. Kinder, gentler finishers. There we go. Now that's English. What I said before, that was not English. That was Klingon, I think. In stark contrast to gory fatalities, Mortal Kombat 2 introduced two new finishing moves, both intentionally silly. Friendships end the round with an act of kindness, like sharing a birthday cake or performing a magic trick, while babalities turned opponents into costumed infants. Shang Tsung with the LJN rainbow. That's what that looks like anyway. Did LJN have a hand in one of the Mortal Kombat games? I feel like they did. One of the ports. Maybe. I'm not sure. They were always porting everything. LJN was responsible for the Terminator 2 arcade game coming to SNES, for crying out loud, and it wasn't good. Triple the secrets. The success of Reptile in the original game led to more secret opponents in the sequel. 3 characters, Smoke, Jade, and Noob Saibot, needed to be discovered before they could be faced in combat. A toasty trial. Players need to be fast to battle Smoke. Quickly press down and start when Dan Forden appears to say toasty when fighting at the portal, and you'll face him in Goro's lair. Searching low. To meet Jade, you'll need to reach the match before the question mark icon in the single player ladder. Then defeat that random opponent using only low kick and without block. The Champion's Reward. Finding Smoke requires speed. Finding Jade requires skill. Finding Noob Saibot requires stamina. Win 50 two-player games in a row to face the mysterious competitor, whose name is simply Boone and Tobias backwards. Tennis for two. If two players manage to play 250 games in a row, Mortal Kombat 2 offers a historic secret. After announcing that both players must face a challenge from your past, they're launched into a quick game of table tennis. First to 7 points wins. Okay, so that's what the cheat was. It was basically Pong. Table tennis, Pong, yeah. As with the original game, some elements of Mortal Kombat 2 were created but ultimately not implemented in the final game. Here's a look at some of the more interesting cut content. Johnny Cage's Fatal Fist. While the team pushed many boundaries, Johnny Cage putting his fist through his opponent's head was too disturbing, recalls John Tobias.
To face some of these secret characters, you definitely needed to have read it somewhere.
I agree, yeah, because the internet wasn't really prevalent back then. So well, they mentioned earlier on in the tonight when we were going through the documentary, they mentioned earlier on that there was a Mortal Kombat weekly paper that you could get in the mail that you subscribed for, and they offered in that paper they gave like little secrets on how to do things and stuff like that. So it might have been featured in those back in the day. Powerful punches. Sprites for exaggerated wind-up punches exist for Jax and Johnny Cage, but were not implemented, likely due to memory restrictions and gameplay flow. Shao Kahn's Sonic Clap. The Shao Kahn Sonic Clap was meant to work like the Hulk's when he slams his hands together and creates a wave of concussive force or wind. John Tobias.
Who's your favorite Mortal Kombat character?
That is a very good question. I don't think I have a favorite. I kind of like everybody. If we're talking like side characters that have been implemented in the newer Mortal Kombats, I love playing as the T-1000 in Mortal Kombat 1. But for main characters in Mortal Kombat, I gotta say maybe Liu Kang. I don't know. I definitely like Scorpion and Sub-Zero as well. Shang Tsung I really loved for his shape-shifting abilities. But I don't know, man. Like, that's a really good question. I kind of like screw with every player. Like, every character. I like all of them. I think they're all really good, to be honest. I think they're all well designed and fun to play as, even if I do suck at the game.
Sub-Zero over Scorpion.
You preferred Sub-Zero over Scorpion? That's fair. Shao Kahn's Portal Punch. A magical portal that summoned a giant. Crushing Fist was apparently intended as a fatality move for Shao Kahn. When you face MK2 Shao Kahn for the first time, yeah. Oh, that's crazy. So he like literally puts his fist into a portal and it comes down and hits the other player? That would have been cool. I don't know why they didn't put that in. That's interesting. Liu Kang's Double Knee. This combination move of a knee strike and a kick didn't make it into Liu Kang's attacks. But the animation looks very janky though. Like, why is it his foot just like twists backwards? It just looks off. I think I can understand why that why that didn't make it in. Players would be like, "What the hell is he doing? Breaking his leg? What is that? What is that move?" Shaolin back fists. Both Liu Kang and Kung Lao were animated using back fist attacks, but neither made it into the game. Yeah, I'm sorry, but what is that animation? Like, those look really janky. I don't know what I'm looking at there. It seems like some frames are cut from that. So I can get why some of these weren't implemented into the game. Some of them just look really bad. Baraka's sword kick. Baraka's acrobatic kick didn't make the final cut because it simply wasn't working well as part of the gameplay, says Tobias. It also doesn't make any sense, because why would he be standing on his blades like that? Wouldn't it? You would think that those blades would like break if he stood on them like that. Also, that move looks way too much like Sonya Blade's leg grab from Mortal Kombat 1. I don't know. I don't think it would work as Baraka. It just seems weird. Shang Tsung's flip and punch. 2 unused moves for the newly youthful Shang Tsung include a roundhouse punch and an impressive backflip. Kintaro's alternate walk. Big strides define this unused walk animation for stop-motion sub-boss Kintaro. He was also the only character in Mortal Kombat 2 that was clay animated. So all the other characters were live actors and stunt performers, mainly stunt performers on Hollywood movies and stuff, such as that one gentleman who was in Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. But this guy was not a costume. He was a clay animated maquette. So his animation just always felt janky to me. Yeah. It kind of like how Goro in Mortal Kombat 1 was also clay animated. Air projectiles. Reptile, Sub-Zero, and Jax were at one point empowered with projectile attacks while in the air. Looking at these animations, I have to say I'm looking at the shadow underneath the character, and it's really detailed. Especially when I was looking at it on Sub-Zero's, and the shadow effects are I never when it's in game like this and not in this format, you kind of don't really notice the shadows because you're too focused on everything going on around you. But those shadow effects are quite impressive, I have to say. They do look really good. What? Hang in there, baby! I believe we were going to hang bodies from chains in the dead pool, lower them into the acid, and then lift them out as skeletons. My recollection is that we cut this to save memory. John Tobias. I can see Ed Boon there on the far right. He's the one in the black with the jeans next to the monk guy. That's definitely Ed Boon. I don't know if John Tobias is in here. Yeah, John Tobias is in the middle. In the red shirt with the yellow belt. That's crazy. That's all the programmers. I love all the ones holding a basketball. What? That's so weird. Statues and clouds. Tony Goski's additional background artwork for the tower stage was trimmed for memory limitations. Unused names. Some of these unused life bar names may have been placeholders for characters in development. Hat Boy seems likely for Kung Lao, while others like Barada and Katana appear to have been alternate spellings. Siren, Asmodeus, Ariel, Barada, Bombshell, Rage, Edward, Hat Boy, Knockout, Cybot Noob, Rancor, Katana, and Feral. Edward. Edward is so out of place. That's such a weird name. Who's your favorite fighter? Edward? You know. He's a tech support wizard who became a Mortal Kombat contestant. Shocking the fans. With many players obsessed with the home version of the original game, some fans didn't expect to see a full sequel arrive in arcades so quickly.
Incredible how even the smallest animations were cut due to tech limitations. Makes you wonder how MK2 would turn out with no limitations.
Right? And I think they included something like that in this collection. The uncut versions of the game are included, I'm pretty sure.
Being worked on, and there were just rumors floating about.
I never even thought of a sequel. I was so fixated on the first game.
I had no idea. Nobody at my school had mentioned it.
It wasn't until I walked into it was an arcade called Uncle Bob's, and there it was already.
The first thing I saw was somebody slicing someone in half with Kung Lao's hat. And I remember being like, what? There's a Mortal Kombat 2, and it is crazy!
A friend came running into band class one day and said, oh, there's a Mortal Kombat 2. I saw this new character. He's a monster. He's got knives for hands.
Baraka was the first character I picked. I kept pumping quarters in. It was so exciting to see the advancements and the new characters.
There is a specific reason that Mortal Kombat 2 is my absolute favorite game in the entire series. And that is because of Katana's easiest in the world fatality. Walk up to the person and hit block, 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 high kick.
Katana wins.
I was immediately a master of her.
Fatality.
I still main Melina whenever I play MK2, and I can do that back down, low punch to do that kind of roll thing, and then forward, low kick to do that kind of teleport from the ceiling kind of thing.
It looked bigger, it looked better, it looked badder, it was bloodier. The animation was more fluid. It looked like a comic book, and that's not something I ever thought I would ever want from a Mortal Kombat game.
MK2 is my favorite too.
Sub-Zero wins. Fatality.
Yeah, I liked MK2 as well. I think it's a mix for me between MK2 and MK3. And, of course, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero.
Step into it. The excitement was just incredible.
I remember seeing Mortal Kombat 2. It was the level that has it Shao Kahn, the big bad guy, who had the people chained up on the pedestals in the background. You were fighting your opponent, but there was a sense of storytelling in the actual level design. And that was one of the first times I had seen that and been like, that's really cool and that's really, really clever.
And I still bought the Game Boy versions, just because Game Boy was the system I played the most. And what's interesting is that Mortal Kombat 2 for the Game Boy is fantastic. It is an amazing fighting game port. It's an amazing fighting game for a portable system with no power.
I played a ton of Mortal Kombat 2 on Super Nintendo. I would have friends over. My living room kind of became a mini arcade. All the blood and gore was there, and it was fantastic.
Fatality.
It felt pretty darn close to arcade perfect. So haha, that time Nintendo came out on top.
Raiden wins. Fatality.
That's kind of interesting that for the first Mortal Kombat, Nintendo censored the shit out of it. But then for the second Mortal Kombat, they were like, ah, fuck it. Let's just put in the uncensored, bloodiest version we can put in. Which is really interesting.
Shao Kahn is excellent. The way he would taunt you before, during, and after the match was boss.
Yeah, no, it was the anime. Like it was so much better than the predecessor. It was so much better than Mortal Kombat 1. Graphically and gameplay wise, it was the superior version of the game for sure. And I mean, it only led for everything to just get better and better and better. But I feel like the whole reason that game was better was because technology had advanced and they were able to record better sprites and all that kind of stuff. Coming home uncensored, Adam Clayton's successful rescue of the Super NES version of Mortal Kombat earned him the assignment for the sequel. Meanwhile, Paul Carruthers passed on the opportunity to work on Mortal Kombat 2 for Genesis, so David Leitch accepted the challenge.
I got put on as the lead on the second one, and that's where we really made the right decisions, which was nice. The idea was to just convert the code line by line and build the multi-processing system so it would work on the Super Nintendo, which of course is a different language of assembly.
Finish.
We, started is November, somewhere like that, in 1993. We had to be done in July, and so we didn't show them anything until April. We just got our first pass of Mortal Kombat 2 for the SNES. Wow. The entire video department here at Midway is absolutely blown away at how well you have matched the feel of our arcade version on Mortal Kombat 2. We can already see that this will be the version to have, as the graphics and gameplay are awesome. So we just continued down that road, got the game done on time, and it scored really high. I had some magazines, I gave it 5 stars, and it was a nice project. I did think that it was done a lot better. They could ship a game that was more like the arcade, as much as we could get it anyway. Put the rating on it and not have to have green blood.
Johnny Cage wins.
I don't know if the Genesis guys would debate me, but I felt like it was the de facto version for at least Mortal Kombat 2.
And the ongoing debate that still sort of seems to rage on up to the present day, like between the SNES version and the Genesis version. SNES version is perceived as being like the winner, it's the better version. And that's like, I think, largely because it's like more complete version. The reason the SNES one has got more stuff than ours, because they're like both made for the same size sort of cartridge, is that it's a lower resolution system, right? So therefore their art assets are smaller, and all the little sort of size differences add up.
Jax wins.
You end up with space for fatality.
Fatality.
The fact that the speech samples are missing, that's the thing that like kind of stands out to me. The way I got the Genesis version is like a little bit sort of convoluted. Basically, Paul had done the first one, Paul were offered the second one, and they offered it to Paul, which is like kind of logical sort of thing to do, and Paul turned it down.
Idiocy, stupidity. At the time I was offered it, I did think that actually MK2 wouldn't ever come out, that it would be banned. There was a bunch of people in the studio kind of talking about violence and talking about this game, and so I didn't particularly want to spend all that effort on a game that then got banned. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
So then they offered it to me, right? And I'd never done any Mega Drive stuff before. They used to think of it as like a cooperative multitasking system. And it's the first time I'd ever like kind of come across it. And like once I like kind of understood it properly, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Basically, I ripped it off. But every game that I wrote subsequent to that, I used that system. Everybody was like kind of happy with the version that I did, and that was no bad thing. I mean, it's just like a really good game, you know. Hard to mess it up.
Wow! The team at Midway was so impressed with Adam Clayton's work on the Super NES version of Mortal Kombat 2 that they sent him a congratulatory fax, which remains a cherished memento for Adam. Acclaim's announcement. Acclaim announced Mortal Kombat 2 for home systems in June 1994. During the summer CES trade show, highlighting an aggressive TV and radio campaign as well as a special promotion at movie theaters and arcades. Massive marketing. In an August press release announcing September 9th as the Mortal Friday release date, Acclaim's vowed to spend $10 million in marketing, an enormous amount at the time. Well, it says in excess of 10 million, so wouldn't that be more? That would be more than 10 million. That is pretty crazy for back then. Anticipation. Each time fans received another monthly issue of their favorite video game magazine, the Mortal Kombat 2 ad would be updated. At first, it showed nothing but a lightning bolt and a catchphrase, then added the famous dragon logo, and ultimately confirmed the release date with the Mortal Kombat 2 logo and screenshots. That's actually really good marketing. That's really cool. The Pit 2. Acclaim's fan newsletter The Pit returned for Mortal Kombat 2, this time in full color. A Q&A section noted that the Genesis and Super NES editions were the same game this time around. There will be no codes necessary for any version. No codes, no sweat. Coming to 32X and PC. At the January 1995 Winter CES, Acclaim said that versions of Mortal Kombat 2 would also be released for PCs and for the 32X, an add-on device for the Sega Genesis that gave the aging hardware greatly enhanced graphics and sound. Mortal Kombat 2 Super NES. with better performance than the first game's Super NES conversion and arcade-accurate violence. Sculptured Software delivered a more authentic experience to Nintendo gamers with Mortal Kombat 2, which translated into much higher sales.
Then I understood.
Oh yeah, no, it was a magazine called Pit 2. We're gonna play a little bit of this, actually. Let me just, Infinite credits? Oh, that's interesting. Now, let's try that. And a 2-player game only. Start a 4x4 match upon... Okay. This is gonna be neat. I haven't played this yet, so... in this collection, so I'm gonna just have to make a little screen adjustments here. We'll do wide. TV presentation is fine. Oh, actually, yeah, no, we'll turn that off. Turning off that filter will make the graphics look a lot less pixely. Which, honestly, when you're streaming is better. Oh wow, I can already tell that the wow, I never thought the graphics were that bad for the Super NES and Sega Genesis, but I guess they were, because like when you compare it to the arcade version that we were playing earlier, everything looks a lot more pixely and out of focus, even with the enhanced visuals here. That's crazy. I didn't think that it was that bad, but oh well. I'm sure the gameplay is a little bit better, I would think. Where's my... Okay, that's my uppercut. Jesus. And again, I feel like this just goes back to the fact that I'm not used to these fighters. I really am not. I mean, the last time I actually played these would have been back in the 90s. I'm familiar with the new Mortal Kombats, obviously. I have them all, but the old Mortal Kombat games, I never had, growing up, I never had a Super Nintendo. I never had a Nintendo. So the only place I would have played these was in arcades, obviously. Or, that's an interesting fatality. That's also an interesting fatality for the SNES, too. Which was, back then, Nintendo was pretty strict on violence, so the fact that they allowed that on their Super NES is kind of interesting, I gotta say. Because normally they don't do that. I mean, they were like, I remember when Night Trap came out and the Nintendo CEO at the time said, Night Trap will never be on a Nintendo system because it has rape in it. And everybody's like, what are you talking? Night Trap? Night Trap doesn't have... It's like so stupid. It's like, nah, Night Trap doesn't have that in it. I don't know what game you're playing.
Scorpion was my childhood favorite. Johnny Cage is my adult favorite.
Jesus. That's fair. Johnny Cage in the newer versions of Mortal Kombat. I'm sure you've played Mortal Kombat 1, like the new Mortal Kombat, the newest one. Johnny Cage in that was freaking hilarious. The lines he had in the cutscenes were so funny. He was just like... He was like the comedic relief of that game, and I really enjoyed his stupid commentary for everything. Oh, sweet. Finally. Here's the problem. Additional settings. Extra fatality time. What is super damage? Attacks deal more damage? Okay. Face character? Face the selected character in the next encounter. Oh, meaning your character, I'm assuming. On-screen move list on. Okay. I think I might have activated that a little bit too late. I know that in, like, the newer Mortal Kombat games, they give you unlimited time for fatalities. It doesn't seem like they do that in the older ones. What is going on? Can I get a punch in? Holy shit, Raiden. Whoa, man. What? No, hold on. Extra damage. That's not extra damage, bro. That's like literally killing him in one hit. That's not what I was expecting. Extra damage. Dude, that's like you're invincible. What is that shit? Extra damage. So you mean like I slap him once and he's dead, basically? What if I do just like a... Yeah, no, that's not extra damage. That's like literally beating the shit out of him. Oh my god, at least let me get a move in, sir. Jesus. Where's my high kick? There it is.
I haven't played the new MK. I haven't owned a console for 9 years.
Oh shit,
the
really?
originals MKs were a big part of my childhood.
Why isn't this working? There we go. That was a fatality?
Sub-Zero wins.
No, I don't even know what I did there. That wasn't a fatality. Definitely not. I froze him. I deep froze him. Oh well. At least he died, I guess.
It's a 2-part fatality.
Oh, you have to put it... Oh, I see. Oh my god, Kitana, come on, please. Let me get a move in. This is terrible. What? What? How? What is this extra damage filter, man? This is insane. All I did was one uppercut. What is going on right now? I feel like that's too OP. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting it to be like that. I wasn't expecting me to do one uppercut and literally end a person's life by that. Oh, come on, dude. Holy shit. Stop spamming the same moves! I hate when oh my god, I hate when people do that, let alone NPCs. Yeah, like, what is that? That uppercut is like overkill, bro.
Finisher.
Fatality 2. Hold down X. What? Okay. Oh, far. Shit. I'm an idiot.
Sub-Zero wins.
I tried. That's the important thing. At least I'm kicking their asses by giving them one uppercut.
Round 1.
Hey, there's Ed Boon is a tree. He's a very handsome tree.
Sub-Zero wins.
This is the biggest cheat ever. Let's just take down an enemy with one uppercut. Yeah, that's fair. Let me just bring in my second player to this.
Finish him.
Okay, let's try this again. Far away.
Fatalities were definitely harder to pull off in the originals. Babalities, friendships, and animalities were even harder. It made it so sotties.
Yeah, I don't know if that's telling me to hold down X or just hit X. Because when I'm holding it down, it's not doing anything. So I don't know, man. I'm not having a lot of luck with that fatality, that's for sure.
Round 1. Fight.
Baraka.
Superb.
Oh. That was dumb. Why did I walk into that? Oh my god, come on, man. I don't need a shave. Come on. I appreciate... Okay. There we go. That was... This is how you know I suck at Mortal Kombat 2. When I am using this idiotic extra damage uppercut, which is quite frankly idiotic already. Yeah. And it's not that I suck at games, it's the fact that, dude, I just haven't played these games since the 90s. Okay, let's try... No, see, you have to hold it down. Yeah, that's not working. I'm sorry. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do.
I think you're supposed to hold down the X and let it go at the end.
Oh, I know, that's what I've been doing. Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Round 1, fight.
Yeah, I have been doing that. It's still not letting me, it's still not putting it in properly. I don't know, man. Is there an option? Hang on, let me just quickly take a look here. Additional settings. Is there an option for easy fatality? I know that on some of these they do have it. Yeah, I don't think there is. That's just bringing up the controls. Okay, yeah, no. So I don't think there is. I know that one of the I think it's the Mortal Kombat arcades, they have the option to put on easy fatalities where you just can do a fatality in one, with one button. Which is really good, honestly. I mean, that was implemented in the later Mortal Kombats where you could do your fatalities in one with one button. I think it was like X. Jesus, I hate when Scorpion does this move. It's not fair. I can't see jack shit. Like, what is the point? I mean, it would be different if, you know, I don't know, like maybe...
MK4 had easy fatalities. I loved it as a kid.
I think MK3 did too, did it not? I'm pretty sure... Excuse me. I'm pretty sure MK3 did as well. Alright, I think I'm going to end this specific game, and we'll go back into the documentary. We've done a couple of rounds of it. Is this the scanned instruction manual? That's cool. Back when instruction manuals were in color. And they started getting rid of color later on because they're like, well, it's too much trees being used and whatever. They had some excuse. And then they stopped putting manuals in games altogether and made them all digital. So could you not have made those images so out of focus? Katana's beauty hides her savage role. I can't tell if she's beautiful or not because she's out of focus. Those are like the most out of focus profile photos I've ever seen. They had to use a screenshot of Shao Kahn from the game because there was never like a bio for him. I don't think there was. Anyway, fair enough. Mortal Kombat 2 Genesis. Genesis gamers no longer needed to enter a secret code to enable blood. Mortal Kombat 2 for Sega's 16-bit console featured blood on by default, with a VRC rating of MA17 clearly visible on the box cover. I always love when they render these old box covers. It's kind of cool. I think they did that for the Super NES one as well. We just never looked at it. Yeah. All right. Anyway, oh, right. Mortal Kombat 2 Sega 32X. Probe Software programmer Cameron Shepard expanded on David Leitch's and Paul Carruthers' Genesis port to create Mortal Kombat 2 for Sega's 32X. Enhancements included more color, improved sounds, restored animations, and the inclusion of the arcade's attract mode. Oh, interesting. So it seems like the best version of Mortal Kombat 2 was probably on the 32X then. So extended animations? Or expanded animations? Restored animations. Interesting. The Cancelled Port. Acclaim advertised a collector's edition, combined release of Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2 for PC and the 32-bit Sega Saturn. While a standalone version of Mortal Kombat 2 would appear on Saturn in 1996, this combo version only ended up shipping on PC and Game Boy. Mortal Kombat 2 Game Boy. 8 of the 12 arcade fighters appear in the Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat 2. Kano, Johnny Cage, Raiden, and fan favorite Baraka were omitted. But the game plays much faster and more fluidly than its predecessor. This version was also created by Cameron Shepard, who programmed the 32X version. Now again, these games we are going to go into once we're done with the documentary, and we'll check them out when we go into the actual games after we're done with the documentary. And we'll play them all. Get ready to run! With 2 monster hit games and a major motion picture in development, Mortal Kombat was now a pulp pop culture juggernaut. Now, the team at Midway had to figure out how to innovate with the inevitable 3rd installment. Which is honestly, in my opinion, the best installment. Knowledge and power. The team at Midway had come very far, very fast, building 2 industry-changing games in as many years.
The Tiger game of Mortal Kombat?
The Tiger game of Mortal Kombat? I don't think so, not yet anyway. Now they were ready to really flex their creative muscles. I think that's where we're going to end it for tonight, actually. We're at 2 hours and 20 minutes, guys. So we're getting through this documentary very quickly. We should be done probably by tomorrow, if not the next day. No, sorry. Tomorrow I'm not going to be streaming this. Tomorrow I'm going to be streaming episodes 5 and 6 of... 5 and 6? Yes, 5 and 6 of Dispatch. That'll be tomorrow at the same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But thank you very much to Christian and to James for tuning into tonight's live stream of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection on the PS5. Greatly appreciated to have you both here, as well as everybody watching after the fact. Thank you so much. But yes, tomorrow I'll either stream Dispatch at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or I'll stream it earlier in the day and then come back and do the 3rd part of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection at 6 p.m. Either way, it'll be Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. 3rd part of this will be out within the next couple of days. But thank you once again, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If you missed any of the previous live streams, you can check them out in the playlist section. You can also check out in the playlist section the joint collaboration section, where I've worked with other YouTubers as well. You can check out in the playlist section the podcast that Stu's Game Reviews and I host together, where we discuss the latest movies, TV shows, video games, all of that crazy stuff that's coming out and that we're really looking forward to in our podcast. And we urge those of you who tune into the podcast to take part in it as well. Come in with your own discussions and everything. We'll discuss them live on the podcast. And that happens regularly, and it's called the Pinkcast, so you can check that out in the playlist section as well. Until then, guys, have a fantastic night, and I'll see you soon at the Gamer's Grotto. Take care, see you tomorrow for episodes 5 and 6 of Dispatch, and again, later on, we're going to be hopping into part 3 of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection's documentary on the entire Mortal Kombat franchise. Take care, have a fantastic night, and we'll see you soon.